quick recap is to making the note wheel, so that way we can all look at this together. We're going to draw a circle. We're going to make our hash marks at the top and bottom, left and right. We're going to fill in between the 4 that we'd originally made. Now we have our 12 hashes. Now we'll just populate those going from A back to A. A to A sharp, since we're going around the right way. C to C sharp. D to D sharp. E to F. F to F sharp. G to G sharp. Now let's go around the opposite way to populate all of our flats. A to A flat. G to G flat. E to E flat, D to D flat, B to B flat. So there we go. That's how quick we can do this. If you can get this to where you can almost close your eyes and build this note wheel in your head, this is going to be, you know, the success to being able to transpose, to be able to come up with and write your own songs, to help your worship team some way you can communicate effectively and efficiently to your worship team. So now we're going to build the major scale. Major scale, or any scale, is really just a compilation of the half steps and whole steps, and we just need to know what pattern that we're going to use to build what scale that we're going to apply. Today it's the major scale. So the major scale is made up of these following steps: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So if you can memorize whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, you can create any major scale that you would like to. It doesn't matter whether you're playing the key of C or C sharp or A or G sharp or D. Major scale, these are the intervals to work around this wheel, and you can create any major scale. And if you knew a minor scale, that if those of you that are a little bit more advanced that just needs to understand this, you can find the steps to a minor scale if you would like to create that as well. So how we begin, first we have to understand the key of a song. The key of a song is the main foundational note. It is the one note, we call that the root note. So what we need to do is we need to understand what root note are we working in. So if we pick a song in the key of C, our root note is C. So we have to start that. Before we work these sets of intervals, we need to start with that root note first. So I'm going to go ahead and make blocks here. So root note, we'll start here. This is the root, and we said that we're going to play a song in the key of C. So I want to find the C major scale. So I'm going to start with the C. Now I can start working my my intervals. So from C, I'm going to find C on my note wheel. That's right down here. And I need to go one whole step from C. So if I go to my note wheel and I go one whole step, we said 2 halves make a whole. So from here to here, we started here as a root note. So from here to here, so our next note is a D. Now, I need to go one whole step from D. Let's do that here. That's a whole. So my next note is E. And again, now we're going to go 1 half step from E to populate this block. What is a half step from E? Is F. Now again, 1 whole step from F. Let's find where that's at. 1 whole step is 2 half steps. So we've ended up with G. And we'll continue on. Whole step from G is A. Whole step from A. Is B. And to finish the scale, I need to go 1/2 step from B. From here to here, back to the same root note that we started with. So if you remember the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, we just created that. So we just started at our root note, which is C, ended up back on our root note, which is C. So we went do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's why these two are the same, because we started on the root note of the scale, we ended on the root note of scale to have that resolution, that resolving, sound. And this would apply to anything. The one thing you'll probably notice is that we've just populated all of the natural notes. The key of C is the only scale that has, in the major scale, there's no accidentals, there's no sharps or flats. You'll see a lot of people teach starting with C, and that's the reason why, is because we don't have to start throwing out sharps and flats at you, just to get you aware of the major scale. But I can erase this and we can input any other in there, and we'll do one more before we finish this session. Again, I'm going to encourage you to take this time now while we're erasing and go back and understand any part of this note wheel, either creating it. I always like to tell students that you should see the note wheel drawn on your bathroom window, or sheets of paper laying around everywhere. You should see note wheels just all around your house, your car, dry erase boards at work, during your breaks, of course. So let's go ahead and make one more major scale before we finish this session. I'm going to pick another key, and we'll say this is going to be in the key of D. So here I need to start with my root is the key of D. Before I start my intervals, that's the one thing I need you to understand, is that this is before we do any of the half step, full steps. I need to identify my root note, my root key, what I'm starting with. So from the D, I can then start working around my note wheel. As you'll notice, when we build a major scale, it's very important that we go around to the right when we build a major scale. This is one of the very few things it's specific that we go around in one direction. Now, if I go from, if I hit an accidental, whether you call that a sharp or flat right now, I'm not concerned with that. So if you get to this note here in some point, if you want to call that a D sharp or an E flat, that's just fine. But I want you to understand, if you see a D sharp, you're also seeing an E flat as well. So we're going to work around our note wheel to build our major scale, always to the right, always to the right. So if I find my D on my note wheel, I'm going to go one whole step from the D. So I get to the E. I'm going to go one whole step from E. We ended up on an accidental. So since I'm going in one direction, I'm just going to call it the sharp. Call it F sharp. From F sharp, we need to go 1/2 step. We go 1/2 step from F sharp to G. Now one whole step from G, which is A. One whole step from A, B. One whole step from B, which is again C sharp or D flat. Doesn't matter which one for right now that you want to call that. Again, I'm just going to stick with the sharps here. Call that C sharp. And to finish our scale, from C sharp back to D, which is where we began. So that's one way I know that I've made this wheel correctly. To D. So to finish up session 1 of music theory, you can go back at any point in this so you can understand this is all in repetition. We know that anytime that we learn anything, it's always going to be in repetition. So if you need to stay on this for a week, that's what we always encourage, is to just go through an entire week and get this down. I always like to teach people, get this down in such a way you can teach it to somebody else from what we've already built up on and for what you know at this. So guys, again, I'd like to thank you so much for viewing this session. If you have any questions, concerns, you're more than welcome to email me at jeremy@harvestenid.com.
At CRAVEunited, we love to be able to help any and every worship team grow in the excellence of worship for their congregation. If you have questions or you'd just like to talk to us about what we do or any ideas, please leave your comments in the section below, or you can email us at info@craveunited.com. You can also reach us on social media at CRAVEunited on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or you can go to our website at craveunited.com.